Hey, it's Dr. Spears here. I am leaving clinic today, so had a good day of seeing patients and everything. And for everybody who's applying to medical school, had a little bit of, what is it, interesting news today or a new perspective on applying to medical school and choosing your schools that you want to apply to. The reason being, one of the attending physicians on call with me today, he was actually Johns Hopkins. He went to Johns Hopkins for undergrad, Johns Hopkins for grad school, and then also Johns Hopkins for medical school. And what was very interesting, apparently he has an older sister, and he's kind of upset. Well, not too upset, but his older sister, she's been one of those people who academically really didn't have to try too hard and always succeeded in everything. And so with that, she got into Stanford Med and all of that. And he was saying, "Hey, we're from California. I always wanted to go to Stanford, but it wasn't possible." But his older sister got into Stanford and all of that. So it was a little bit jealous about that, or maybe not jealous, but upset about that because he wanted to do that and wasn't able to happen for him. But he was just giving some general advice about the process of being in medical school, and in particular, this notion about where you should attend medical school. He was stating that when it comes down to that you want to get into the best medical school possible. Obviously, he's at Johns Hopkins, and he says the pre-med students out there, they're a little bit crazy. They're a little insane. They're like super intense, type A students who are super, super competitive about everything. So if you want a cutthroat culture for being a pre-med, definitely go to Johns Hopkins. But obviously, he said being at Johns Hopkins opened up a lot of doors for him when he was in medical school, because one of the things you have to do after medical school, you need a residency, and that's where you're going to train to learn like the specifics of your medical specialty. And he was saying that the program, the medical faculty and directors that you saw during your third year clerkships, they were telling the students, you guys are from Johns Hopkins Medical School. Don't do away with rotations or elective rotations at places where you went to residency at. He said the reason why they told us that is because more likely than not, you're going to hurt your chances of getting a residency there, because when you come from Johns Hopkins or any top tier medical school, your name from that school carries so much weight, and people are going to just be impressed like, oh, that's a Johns Hopkins medical student, that's a Harvard medical student, that's a Stanford medical student, and they're automatically, for the most part, are going to take an interest in you just because of your pedigree of where you attended medical school at. And now if you come to medical school that's not super competitive, then obviously you need to go on these elective rotations for specialties and find and just show them that you're competitive, you know what you're doing, you would make a great resident for their program, because you need to prove yourself. But if you go to a top medical school, you don't have to do that. You can kind of just do your electives at your home institution and know that your name is going to carry more weight than anything else. And so that's just some advice out there that I was totally shocked by, surprised by. But when you think about it, it makes complete sense that if you're going to a top tier medical school, why would you do anything that could potentially hurt your chances of landing a residency? And one of the things that could hurt is be going to a program and not performing well in your elective rotation. So it's better to not go on a lot of elective rotations and just let the reputation of your medical school precede you, where people are like, oh wow, that's Hopkins, that's Harvard, that's Stanford, that's UPenn, and let that carry weight. So what this means that is there's a lot of riding on where you would attend medical school at. You want to get into those top tier schools because of the rankings, and it's just going to make life a lot easier. And even for this not resident anymore, he's out of residency, he's attending physician, he was also saying like, yeah, he didn't do too well on his boards, but because he went to Johns Hopkins, it made up for it. Everybody just assumed he was smart no matter what. But he also went to grad school at Hopkins, got a master's, and studied really hard to do well in his level 2 boards, and that allowed him to get in where he needed it to be. So that's some tips and advice out there. But I say when you're applying to medical school, you're making your list of schools to choose, only about 25 to a third percent do you want it to be like your top choice, dream, reach schools, because it's very hard to get in. Then the next I guess 30 to 60% you want to be where you're comfortable, have a good chance of getting in regardless of your stats and everything like that. And then the rest, 40% or so would be the schools where if they said yes, you would go because you want to, no matter what, you want to be a doctor at the end of the day. So that's kind of the breakdown that you want to have with when you're choosing your schools. And always start with the schools in your home state, your public schools, because that's going to give you your best chance, and also the finance is going to be a little bit better for you. And so again, this is Dr. Speed of drpremed.com signing off for you in regards to choosing medical schools. And if you can get into a top tier school, definitely go, because it's going to open up a lot of doors for you for medical school residency selection. Take care.